Evening or good day, this is Bear, joining you for another of the Director's Commentary videos. Last time we watched the first episode in the series, and today, sequentially, we'll jump over to part 2. Like last time, I'll be answering viewers' comments towards the end of the video, and I will also make a couple other announcements, so stay tuned. Regarding the symbiote peeling off of Spider-Man, that would be just a regular wet clay that I tried to dye black, but the black food coloring kept turning it green, so I got it as close as I could, but that's what we went with in this case. And real quick, since I think this is the first time this figure is shown up, this is the superposable Spider-Man 2 6-inch figure, if I recall correctly. And there's been quite a few astute commenters that noticed I had accidentally let my finger slip into a couple of these shots here, I believe, right there in the top left. Right there, yeah. So you'll see a couple of those in this episode. Actually, to touch on one of the Discord comments, they were asking if I did use a microphone for this episode, and also, why the audio was so quiet. Well, I did have a microphone. It was a Logitech lavalier microphone, a very inexpensive one, and I did not know how to use it properly. So, as a result, the audio is a bit all over the place, and back then I didn't really know how to use any sorts of audio softwares. This probably would have been WavePad Editor back in the day. But I didn't really learn how to use these yet until a little later in these episodes.
Gotta find it. Yeah.
Now, as far as the webs go, I was actually using fishing line for the webs, but on the camera I was using, they weren't coming out super clear, so I traced over them in MS Paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since I'm still at my parents' house back then, I think it was 13, 14 when I made this, I did go ahead and throw up a large blanket across the hallway to block off the rest of the house when I was filming this.
How are you still alive?
As far as that sound, I do believe it was the sound of an alligator growling. The sound following after, I don't know if that was, or if that was something I did, but I'll touch on that a little later. And real quick before I forget, that actually was a figure that I had owned already. It was a Spider-Man 3, but it wasn't as big as I would like for this episode, so I decided to build around it. Still using the pipe cleaners like in the first episode, and the teeth, I just made those out of Scotch tape that I had spray painted white. Real quick, touching on the sound effects, I believe this is literally me just hammering a table. The second sound effect, I don't know what website that would have been back in the day, but it was a free sound effects website. Nowadays I use resources like Pixabay, Soundly, and a couple of others, but if you want something basically inexpensive or free for a lot of the sounds, I'd point you that direction. And I think I mentioned this in the last commentary episode, but when I was making these, I would basically just get inspired by whatever video games I was playing at the time and just make an exact copy of it. In this case, that would have been Web of Shadows regarding the final boss, which I highly recommend the game. I think that sound is me. I'm not positive. I don't remember if I did that one specifically or not. I did get a Discord question about how these screeching sounds were made. A lot of them are me, which I will demonstrate here briefly. A headphone warning.
For example?
A lot of these are inhale screams, which generally the consensus is you shouldn't do these for extended periods of time. Your vocal cords are not necessarily meant to do this. Fortunately, I haven't experienced any issues, but your mileage will vary. If I was to do this these days, I would definitely secure the figure to the ground, whether with, say, either a dab of hot glue or a large blob of sticky tack, just so that it doesn't, dance around on the floor as I was peeling away the bits of the symbiote tendrils, in this case pipe cleaner. I think that sound was me as well. Again, it's been 15 years. I'm not quite positive what I was doing back then.
Game over, Venom.
And that brings us to the end of the second episode of the Director's Commentary series. And now we can jump over to answer some of the viewers' comments. For the first one, how long did it take me to make the pipe cleaner Venom? As well as if I went back to make these episodes again, how would I go about that? Regarding the old one from this video that we just watched, it took about 4 hours if I recall. Most of it was just intertwining all the pipe cleaners around the symbiote figurine that I had, as well as waiting on the paint to dry for the teeth, which again was just scotch tape with some spray paint on it. For the second half of the question, which is regarding what I would do if I went back and remade these videos, how I would go ahead and make the figurine for this, at least with the skill set I have now, I think it would be a better use of my time and skill set to make it still a physical prop. If I was to make one now, I would definitely use armature wire as well as hot glue to make the more solid tendrils and, say, muscle, sinew-looking bits, and then use some type of silicone putty in order to make the more flexible pieces of it. Another one from the Discord asking how it felt to have part 2 become the most viewed video and recommended video at the time for me. Back then, again, I was probably 13 or 14 or so, and getting a video with in the realms of 100,000 views was pretty crazy, because I think that was only my third stop-motion video on the channel. I was very happy to have an audience, and at the time there were a lot of other stop-motion YouTubers, and a few of them commented on the video, so that gave me a lot of, enthusiasm to continue working on these. Continuing with the Discord questions, this one was asking why the symbiote left Peter after the end of episode 1, since Venom already had his own symbiote, so apparently the commenter has been racking their brain about this for a while. And my logic at the time was that in this world I was working on, the symbiote that was on Spider-Man had broken off of Venom, similar to how it happens in the Web of Shadows video game, where it's not like an entirely new symbiote, like, say, what you would call Carnage or Toxin or any of those. More so that it just split off from. After Spider-Man defeated Eddie Brock in the first episode, the symbiote decided that Eddie was his more favorable host and wanted to keep him alive. And one more question from the Discord. It seemed that your interpretation of Spidey from parts 2 to 5 at the time was merciless and actually wanted to end Venom's life. Why was that? As it seemed pretty out of character for Peter in my opinion, which even he's against breaking his responsibility in part 8 so far as we've seen in the script and the dialogue. Which, after going back and watching through these, I think the commenter makes a fair point that Spider-Man was going a little aggressive compared to how he would normally. In my mind, when I was working on these, it was essentially that Venom was too powerful for him to keep holding back, so you basically just had to treat it as a fight to the death every time. But we'll touch on that as we go along to the next episodes. As far as announcements, I'm still toiling away on episode 8 of the series, which I'll put some clips here for you to see. Keep an eye out for the next teaser trailer, which should drop on either the 30th or 31st, which just depends on how soon I finish it. Again, if you want to see all the updates I make as I work on these videos, join the Discord and check the work in progress section. Thank you for watching, and wherever you are, I hope you have a good rest of your day.